Perfect Balance Healthcare presents Lick, Stick, and More with your host, Dr. Nandita Koodie. Join me to explore the minds of thought leaders as they share golden nuggets on the impact of faith integration in practice, professional development tips, and innovative solutions to bring you beyond ordinary healthcare. Hey y'all, welcome in for another episode with me, your host, Dr. Nandita Koodie. I have with me today the lovely, gorgeous, and super intelligent and energetic, the Dr. Annie Rostomyan. And she's here to share with us all things nutrigenomics. But I first wanted to get into a little bit about her background because, like so many pharmacists that I know and love and adore, she did not originally start her practice in the United States. And it has been quite the challenge for her to come in with the foreign expertise that she has and actually make a way for herself here and build herself to where she is now, which is just completely admirable. And I love the power and energy that she brings to pharmacy. So without further ado, I would love to share her with you. If you could please, Annie, share with us a little bit about your background, a little bit about your history, and how you came to doing what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Nandita, thank you. Thank you for having me. First of all, I want to tell you how much I love you and how much your core beliefs and your faith-based practice, how much it correlates with how I feel and how I treat my patients or how I approach patient care. So you're in my heart forever. I think we're soul sisters
Oh
from
yeah,
now
for
on.
sure. For sure.
Friendship. Absolutely. I came to United States in 2007 and I was a foreign graduate pharmacist. And with my English being my biggest insecurity, I was thinking, oh gosh, I have to learn so much. On top of it, I have to, make my English better and better.
I'm not buying that. Your accent is super attractive.
And I still
I
have
don't
the
see that
insecurity.
something as a hindrance.
And I lived in Ohio for several months and I was like, oh my goodness, whatever I say, people are not understanding me. I got to get better. And I had to take the English proficiency exam for my pharmacist, exam qualification. That was part of it. And then I moved to Florida. The years passed. I am a full-time, licensed pharmacist in state of Florida. My first position was mail order pharmacy. I couldn't be happier. Like, oh my goodness, I got my license last month and now I'm offered the position. I took it with pride. It was a great experience. So after that, I moved to CVS pharmacy, so retail world, and I got to be introduced to what high speed actually is. What is multitasking to a degree that you cannot even function. So it was long work days, 13-hour shift, and I'm sure you know what that means. We're sharing the same, experience. I was priding myself in overachieving. And then at some point I said, okay, so what's holding me back to feel, you know what, I'm pretty accomplished and I do have the expertise and the knowledge to not feel this way. So I would also describe it as like, oh, you're a foreign grad, you haven't gone to school here. Again, moving to California, I started my second pharmacy school here in Massachusetts, College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, MCPHS. I couldn't be, you know what? I think I made the best decision at the time because I got to experience also clinical aspects of patient care. And I didn't get my doctorate degree while I was working for CVS Pharmacy full time. But clinical part of your education is like, why can't I do more? Why can't I help people in other ways? And that's what I feel when I talk to my colleagues here who still work in retail. They're like, we don't have time. Unfortunately, we're not given the time. And especially what's happening nowadays, the pharmacists are burned out, overworked. They're not fulfilled and they're not feeling it. They're not feeling the passion they have for patient care. I used to work for just immense amount of hours, but at the end of the day, I was like, I wish I could have gone back to that patient profile and made few changes. I wish I was given that time. And it's just incredible how things are changing to the worse in pharmacy profession, in retail work. But I always talk to them and I say, don't think that you have to exit out and do something else. Always, you can change the setting. You can work for another company, but don't be disappointed in your profession, in your
Yeah.
calling. And ambulatory care is my passion. I found a position in ambulatory care clinic, which gives you ample time.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
are given enough time to manage chronic disease and everything. But I'm talking to a lot of pharmacist colleagues, and I keep asking them, and they're like, "Why are you asking all these questions?" I'm like, "Are you fulfilled with your position? Do you want to learn more? Do you want to do more?" And they're like, "Why is she always looking for different things? Can't you just go to work and go home and call it a day?" I guess it's not my type. I want to learn more. And I got into precision medicine after that. I think I found what I actually feel as a pharmacist, where pretty much we have to own the space. Pharmacogenomics. Who else, if not the pharmacist, become the experts in, precision medicine, and especially with our medication knowledge. I always say pharmacology and genomics is pharmacology on steroids. There's just a deeper level of accuracy that you can use pharmacogenomics and nutrigenomics for practicing. Interesting field.
Which part of this to you was attractive and was filling a void that you weren't getting in the mail order setting or in the retail setting or even in
I've
ambulatory care?
always Great question, Nandita. Pharmacogenomics gives you a tool to address complex patients' cases, people who do not do well on standard therapy. My advocacy is, why can't we give the patient a choice to decide whether they want to do the test or not? Why is it the health system that's deciding?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like that's the piece that for me was the void and that was missing is at what point do we empower patients with regard to taking control of their health? At what point are we actually having conversations to help them identify these underlying issues contributing to their health disparities? And that was the piece that I wasn't getting in, my closed door settings or my community settings. And that's what really led me to working more with the independent pharmacists that are having these real conversations with the families that come to their stores. And that really
Right.
led me into remote patient management services where it's focused around patient consultation and including them in their health and making it accessible to them where they're engaged, where there's transparency, and where there's a continuum of care between the practitioners that they see, their pharmacist, and their care team. And so that to me was the piece that was missing because you're always, when you're working in ambulatory or when you're working in the community or when you're working, in any other sort of closed door setting, there's a disconnect there when you're just working from one perspective and you're trying to practice holistically. There's a disconnect because the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. So I think that one of the things that you seem to be passionate about is being able to empower these patients and have these conversations as an added benefit to showing them through this tool how they can take control and make better, more educated decisions with regard to which regimens they agree to get put on in collaboration with the practitioners to make more educated decisions.
100%. Nandita, everything you said, I agree wholeheartedly. Especially nowadays, pharmacists are so undermining and underappreciating their own expertise, thinking that, oh, I can't work in this setting. I have been out of school for more than 10 years. No such thing. There's no such thing. There's always resources. Absolutely. And I'm happy to help. If anyone has questions about
Yeah.
how do I do this? Where do I start? Contact me.
Annie, you look good. I want to say, like, you look good. I mean, I've known you for about over a year now, actually, since we first had a conversation. And you're a whole different person. You're on a different side of this. This was something that you were interested in and you had just started dabbling in. But now it's something that you can confidently say, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And I'm seeing a different side of you. And so, can you speak a little bit about what some of the cultural struggles were that you might have faced getting out of your own way and getting into this space and really taking the bull by the horns here?
Oh, I could speak about it to Nandita. um, okay, culturally, I'm Armenian, and I think it's a good mix of European and Middle Eastern culture. We're women who are ought to be educated and high level of expertise and everything, but in our culture, you have to be the mom, the caregiver, the homemaker, and you should not have ambitions to do more than what the society says. And we were raised that way. And I don't want to say I broke away from the pattern, but in some way I did, because I realized that, okay, so if I go with what the tradition says and I'm not feeling happy, I want to teach people what I've learned, or I want to move further in my career, but I'm not compromising my family with it. It was hard, but sometimes you just have to go. Who said that it was going to be easy, right? Who said that our lives are, oh, everything has to be easy? No. And I was talking to my other colleague about, struggles we went through. And I said, I'm thankful for those because look, if we didn't go through what we had to, personal, family, financial, immigration, um, it's not interesting to achieve things when it's easy, right? Like it just came to you, it just landed, you just landed a job. I want to fight for a job. I want to
Yeah,
fight for a position to get it. I want to prove them that I'm,
you earned it.
earning it. And a lot of us pharmacists, I always tell them, negotiate your salaries, negotiate your terms. Don't just say yes to an offer just because, oh, they chose you. You can earn much more if you at least try to do it.
Absolutely. And you
Yes,
miss
yes,
100% of the shots you don't take. And that was Wayne
absolutely.
Gretzky said
And
that.
I haven't gotten no's in many instances, and the first few months were, oh, oh, I was told no, that no one's interested. Then I shouldn't do it. But no is just a reaction that people say no, they're not interested at that moment. What if in a year they say, oh, there was a pharmacist who reached out to me about this remote patient monitoring program. Now I need it. Let me find out her information. So just put yourself out there. It's hard. It's hard, especially introverted. We're a very introverted profession. We're so focused on tasks.
Mhm.
We're not taught to, stand out and say, I'm trained. I'm trained in those things. And if you need me, please reach out to me. I guess that's, again, a skill you have to develop, but again, it's not going to come easy. If you're shy about what you have to offer, people respond to you on an emotional level. No one says, oh, she's a PharmD, I should listen to her.
Yeah.
No, they say, how confident are you in what you're doing? If you're not confident in what you're offering to me, why should I believe you?
Is there a certain event that stands out in your mind that was really a turning point for you with regard to, I remember very clearly in this moment, taking what I'm doing a little bit more seriously than just a side hustle?
There was a patient's husband who passed away from toxicity of 5-FU, the very, very toxic medication for cancer. And this woman was a poor metabolizer of the specific DPYD enzyme, and she had toxic concentrations of the 5-FU in her body. And the husband became an advocate for her of Adverse Drug Reaction Day, March 28th, if not mistaken. And he said, if we were offered it, why wasn't it given to us? We should have been given the option of the genomic testing or no. And he's advocating now for NCCN, all these other institutions for developing oncology guidelines. But what really stayed with me is, if I can do something that's going to make someone's health better, and if I don't do it, that's a disservice to a patient.
Did you start more on the patient side or did you start a relationship first with a collaborator?
Actually, I tried helping people who are in my circle and who I knew that were in need of it. So I started like learning at the same time, and I reached out to a few doctors here. Some of, like, not few, many of them were saying, no, I don't practice pharmacogenomics.
Yeah.
And like, what's that? I don't do that. There was a psychiatrist that first we started working. She referred me few patients of hers, very complex patients, very like complex medication regimens, and younger patients who were suffering from during COVID times. It was telehealth. No one had access to their physicians. But I think she really understood the benefit it could have. She said, I've tried ordering it a few years ago, but the report was so complicated, I just left it. I did not even, look at it. It's hard for a physician to find time. And if you could be a good resource and bring it out to a good one page of medication action plan and say, hey, this is my recommendation. And I always tell them, the genomic testing is not always done to question your therapy. It's done to enhance what you're already doing. So we're giving a credit to a physician saying, hey, this is done to even emphasize that you were choosing the right regimen for your specific patient. It's a collaboration. I always bring out medical professionals high up, and I never discredit or the traditional. That's not the right way to go. Saying, "Oh,
Absolutely.
traditional medicine doesn't know what they're doing. I know the best." No, we work hand in hand. We're there for a patient.
So now this is far from easy, right? If any, my dad has a saying that says that nothing good comes easy, and if it comes easy, then it's not good, and that's definitely been the case. And you've definitely positioned yourself as an expert in nutrigenomics. First, let's start with what is nutrigenomics?
Nandita, the things that I'm learning now, and I'm questioning every day, why didn't I learn about this 10 years ago? Why weren't we taught this in pharmacy school? Why weren't we like passionate about this? But everything has its timing. So there's a nice documentary I watched about a year and a half ago. It's called Dynamic Genome. That really changed my perspective of like, oh, this is genomic studies are coming along. And um, before everything else, it was thought that like only 2% of your, it's called coding region of your DNA is responsible for everything that's happening with you, hereditary, disease risks or genetic, diseases. But now they're saying that it's also the non-coding, the 98% of the non-coding inactive. They thought it's a useless, region in your genome that pretty much doing nothing. No, actually, our lifestyle is, which is called epigenetics. Our lifestyle, our environment, our nutrition, everything has impact on us on genetic level. When you watch the documentary, they did like a twin studies of one twin certain like lifestyle follower. The other one is a healthier, and then they tested so the significance. And nowadays I feel like we gotta know more. It's
Yeah.
not only what we're offered. If we have questions about, hey doctor, can I get that test done? More you learn, there's more that you can learn. I always feel that. But I do say that you don't have to learn everything to help people. You just don't have to learn everything on earth to become the expert and then help. You can do it simultaneously.
I'm definitely a fan of building the plane while you're flying it, you know? Is you have some knowledge that's already useful and you should be sharing it, you know? And one of the things that I started looking into is exactly what you were talking about with the activities that people are engaging in their life has a huge impact on their health and can be, good decisions or bad decisions. And they need to be able to be aware of that and not just separate healthcare from their behavior or their choices. And so this is why I've been diving into the studies surrounding even religion as a social determinant of health, because it really is. And I was surprised to find last night when I first started diving into this, that there are studies that have been performed to show the impact fellowship and community engagement on social well-being, and it actually translating into health outcomes. And I think that is so like really, really interesting and amazing.
That's very powerful.
So,
I agree with you. There was a website about talking about blue zones in on Earth, that there are 5 regions on Earth that people live longer.
where are we
So
going?
one of them is in California. So me and you are moving to Loma Linda. We're moving to Loma Linda, me and you, because we want to live to 105. So there's one in, I know Greece, Italy, Sardinia, Italy. There's few regions, 5
Are you sure
of
we
them.
can't go there? I think we should go to Greece.
I think we should go to Sardinia. I'm all up for it. Or maybe we should buy homes in each of those locations.
This is a better idea. I like that idea.
So these people live longer than anyone else on the planet, and scientists are studying them. One of the biggest components of longevity was faith-based community engagement and families. They were living in homes still with their family. And I said, oh my goodness, this is something we always think that has no effect on us. No, spiritual health is not any less important than your physical, emotional. They felt engaged. So older people felt cared for. They went to church, they prayed. And prayer is just one of the, don't you agree, when you're so grateful for things, but we're grateful for those that gave us that life so we experienced this life. So I'm thankful at least I'm alive. What if I wasn't able to give experience what life is all about? Beautiful. So Actually, agreed.
It's something I want to get involved in tracking. As I'm going into and diving deeper into the remote patient management, chronic care management space, I'm looking at, okay, as we're doing these care plans and we're providing these educations, we should also be collecting hospitalization rates so we can expand upon our services to transitions of care. And then looking
Absolutely, you can measure it. Exactly.
look at how religious practices plays into those hospitalization rates and into the effect that a pharmacist can have if they're performing these services and they're encouraging patients. One of the things I wanted to get into with you and to ask is, how are you doing it all? We have a lot in common, and we have for the past year going through transitioning from Florida, but just the cross country move and having to reestablish yourself in a new community, working full time, doing something to contribute here, as well as growing your own practice. And then we can't discount the importance of us as being moms too, and having to figure out how we're finding time to dedicate to family, which people could look at as us taking a break, but it's quite the opposite, right? It takes planning to get the kids in the car all at the same time and have meals prepared for that day, and to plan who's planning it, right? And then the time that you spend away from home and the usual routine, you end up paying for it later because you come back and that work is still there for you, right? And you're trying to collaborate with your significant other to figure out how you're getting the house running like a well-oiled machine while you're still trying to build your practice and find time for that. What things do you do to keep your sanity with regard to, I'm carving out time for this because if I don't, I'm going to lose it? And, how are you able to find progress in anything that you're doing with regard to building yourself in this space and what you're doing to have a greater impact? How are you doing it?
Oh, Nandita, I always tell to talk to my colleagues saying that moms, working moms, healthcare, professionals, we come home to another 8 hour of our work. So our work, and then we come to home to another 8 hour of nonstop parenting, family, and everything. I prioritized my sanity at the moment when there's no one at home and I have to do the dishes or clean or do this. How about I sit down for 5 minutes, regroup? This is not going anywhere. This is going to stay, or it's all here. We're going to cook, clean, and always be the positive parent. You don't want your child to see your face that they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, what are we into? Like, what's happening? Because they look up, they get the energy from you, and the kids always absorb the oh my goodness, they're not in a good mood. What's happening? It always dictates the energy at home. Moms and feminine, women's energy at home dictates how your day will go for the entire family. And I said, okay, I have to find some other ways of recharging. I'm telling you, and I'm so grateful for your friendship. I did gain more friendships and connections during COVID time than any time ever before. And I reached out to women who were in the same boat. So kind of support. Oh, I feel you. You girl, you don't know it. And in many states across the country, everyone was going through their own. So you have to sit down and do not do any work. Just the fact that you have no one at home and you can do 10 things to finish up your housework doesn't mean you have to. Because if you're not charging your battery, how are you going to help and serve others? You're not going to go to work next day saying, I'm done, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this work anymore.
And that's important, in this instance, it's not self-care because I need me time for me. It's more of, I need to recharge so I can continue doing what I do to support my family as a partner here in this puzzle, as an integral piece. How do I do that? How do I create sustainability in what I'm doing and growing and continually find progress instead of feeling like I need to stop what I'm doing because I'm burning out, right? And so
I show up for you guys, I show up in a good mood. I don't want to show up in this angry, overworked, tired mom.
Well, your friendship is something I equally adore and treasure, especially being here on this side of the world with, I really did appreciate connecting with you last year for the first time and saying to myself, wow, I'm so blessed to have her.
It's mutual. My friend, it's mutual. And I always encourage everyone, the pharmacists I talk to, talk about also failures. It's good to say what did not happen. I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work. we always tend to position ourselves on social media as like, oh, it's
Figure it all
fantastic.
out.
No, it's not. It's not fantastic. We go through a lot of no's before we get a yes. We go through a lot of disbelief in our expertise from other healthcare professionals, which is fine, which is fine. But if you're a pharmacist who wants to do things differently, I always say just do what is best about you. Do not copy what others are doing.
Mhm.
People are reaching out to you for what you have to offer. It's about you, Dr. Nandita Koodie or Dr. Anya Rostomyan. That's what you can, how you can help them. Talking about failures. First
Yeah.
of all, do what's your primary. Just become the parent that your child wants to look up and say, oh, my mom did this at age of, I don't know, after her in her 30s. I gotta get up and
You're
do
not in
some
your
work. I always
30s.
tell my son, we're always 30 years old. We're
No,
always
we're
gonna stay
not.
there. 25, fine, 25.
No, I don't think I would want to go back to 25. I think you're
And
right.
then you're like, oh my God, 10 years ago, if someone told me you're going to do these things and you're going to enjoy it, I would say, oh, that's not happening. No, it's happening. Visualize it. Things are going to come to you if you really put hard work and honesty. I never tell people you could do it if I really don't believe if they can do it.
Yeah.
So that's number one thing.
Or, our success isn't from our abilities. Sometimes it's the Holy Spirit and leaning on what he's capable of and just trusting in him and what he has planned for you and just answering on that call, and putting your
Absolutely.
faith there and trusting and believing him that what it is that he would have you do is sustainable and that he will provide for you. And he always does. Hasn't he always provided? Here you are, you're fed, you have a roof over your head and your kids are provided for. And that's something that we can definitely attribute to God.
Be thankful for. Exactly.
Yeah, be thankful for. So, but one of the things that you said that I wanted to point out is that, your starting place wasn't that you landed this collaborative arrangement and all of a sudden you're being referred patients up the wazoo, but it was more so, hey, I started with what I had, and for me too, it was family testimonial of working with them, people who already trust me and know that I'm not just going to do something for business purposes, but I'm really here interested in figuring out what these missing pieces are in their care, having their trust in being able to try something and see what that looks like. And being able to take that testimonial and translate it into practice was what allowed me to move from not doing anything to having patients of my own. And so you had mentioned when we talked about this last time that your way of doing that wasn't expanding on your collaborative practice model, but it was more just word of mouth, and that's something I've seen even in independent pharmacy setting. You have family members that tell their family members, that tell their neighbors, and they tell their friends, and it grows from word of mouth, the benefits of having you in their corner. And so just starting small, a couple of friends or family members that you can say, hey, I'm going to do this for you just so that I can see what the benefits are and being able to take that. Is that something you're open to and okay with? That's a place I didn't have no's. It's when you start trying to take it to people who don't know you and don't trust you that you start having to figure out, well, how do I display this in a way that they can understand the opportunity,
100% agree with you. I want to tell you something funny before we finish up. So I also did my husband's pharmacogenomic panel.
How did that go?
And then he said, now I know why you did this. So you want to know everything about me. So you want to know everything on genomic level. I said, yes, I just want to make sure that you're perfect,
Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to share with me on this lovely day. And it's been such a blessing to share these precious moments together, talking about where we've been and where we want to go and the impact that we desire to have for our patients and for communities and for each other. So thank you so much. I admire you. I adore you. And I love what you're doing. And I'm excited to see what God has planned for you for your future.
I appreciate you, Nandita, and I love you. You're my dear friend, and we're planning to meet up somewhere, either here or where you live. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Definitely.
Thank you, Nandita.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Lipstick and More. Subscribe and follow us on YouTube and all the social media sites at Perfect Balance Healthcare, or visit us anytime at pbh.life.